Joe presents Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby, together with Guinness.
Hello, and you're very welcome to Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby on Joe, together with Guinness.
Oh, you're a bit chirpy, aren't
I'm
you?
pretending to be chirpy. It's Monday after St. Patrick's Day.
Showbiz chirpy. Fake chirpiness.
Hanging. Yeah, I'm sure the whole of Ireland is hungover today, so it's grand. I don't feel too bad.
Yeah. I doubt they're all fake chirpy.
I think my tone of my voice is going to go down and down as we go on. But I was in the Middle East for the last 5 days.
Wow.
Celebrating St. Patrick's Day in the desert, as you do.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a great time.
Are Hermitage Green, are they big in the Middle East?
Yeah, we've done a lot out there.
Uh-huh.
So we've got great old support out there.
Really?
Great fan base, yeah.
Expats? Or genuine Arabs?
We played in Bahrain last night, and there was a good few local Bahrainians who were obsessed with us.
Baranese?
Bahrainians, I think. I have no idea.
I don't know either.
Bahrainese.
I don't know why I said it so confidently.
Any Bahrainians out there subscribing to Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby, let us know.
Those are two
Bahrainese?
Those are two Venn diagrams that don't cross.
I'll work on them. I was talking about it actually last night. But we played Dubai, McGettigans in Dubai on Thursday night. It's like an Irish festival they have out there. So the Coronas were there, Gavin James, ourselves, Thanks Brother. We played there Thursday, Abu Dhabi Friday, back to Dubai Saturday there was like a boat party on a yacht. We went out in that and just playing music and having a crack.
Oh,
and then
showbiz.
Saturday evening we watched the match in McGettigans, which was class. It was like a couple of thousand people, loads of Welsh, loads of Irish, and obviously didn't end well, but it was good crack.
What sort of crowds would you be playing to?
600-700. Yeah.
Do you ever crowd surf?
Not as a part of the band, but I tried to do it once at an Ian Brown gig in Limerick, and I jumped off the stage. I climbed up on the stage as a fan and jumped off and just jumped on top of the two smallest girls in the whole place and completely flattened them, which was hilarious. But no, I've never felt like the Hermitage Green fan base could hold up.
Ah, right, okay.
Me and my brother, yeah.
Yeah, I once got punched in the head. Do you know the Hives? Do you remember the Hives?
Yeah.
I went to see them when I was like 16. I went to the Limelight in Belfast. You played there a few times?
Yeah.
I had a wee fake ID and all. So the Hives guitarist jumped into the crowd, and it was kind of crowd surfing, but he was like clumsily just in and then out. Really, security would drag him out. Forced security dragged him out. I was all excited and hyper, so I grabbed his guitar and I was like, like as if we were both enjoying this moment. He turned out and punched me
in the face.
Yeah,
I couldn't think of anything worse than someone. His guitar is plugged in, like,
it's so annoying. I know.
so it's making noise, and you're just grabbing it and shaking.
How annoying is that?
Hard not to though.
Hard to punch me?
No, hard not to
punch
shake the guitar.
Yeah, it was right there, and I wanted to be a part of it. I thought if he's gonna jump into where we are all just minding our own business, then
Our sound engineer, unfortunately, on Friday night in Abu Dhabi, had to be right in the middle of the crowd, and he was turning to pick something out of his bag at one point, and a girl just came over and went to the main fader on his desk and just started going, like, moving it up and down really fast. He thought everything had stopped, and he just turned around and there was a girl just there lashing up and down. She said she actually did it in time, so it kind of sounded like an effect he was putting on it. Yeah. So, but that's how loose it is over there, man. People think Dubai is quiet. It's like the Vegas of the Middle East. And it was good at the Welsh match. There was a lot of crack going on. It's later over there, so it was like 9 or 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And the Welsh were particularly bananas.
Mm-hmm.
So towards the end of the game, when we got that last try, we were so desperate for any kind of positivity that we were like, if they score here, let's go.
As if you just won the Six Nations
game. So we were jumping around the place when he scored. Yes! Into the heavens. And they they obviously didn't get it. They were like, "We're winning, we've won." No, we pretend like we didn't know what they were talking about. But look, the hangover is real. I'm sure the Irish team have probably the biggest hangover of all. God bless them. And I actually want to start with a question that we got in from JPLC, and that person, man, woman, or child, I think is kind of sums up what Pat, I'd say you'd agree with what we've been getting questions on Twitter for the last few days about. It's kind of the worst of all the questions we had, but explains where the hearts are of the nation. So he says, she says, it says, Jesus.
Get into character.
Where to start? WTF do you make of that performance? What the flip or what the fuck? What do you think, Andrew? I felt embarrassed. That is not a team lacking confidence. That is a team with deeper issues. Much deeper. What do you make of it? Question mark. I'm pissed off before we even get a chance to answer.
Don't interrupt us, JP.
Utterly fed up with the Sexton loop. You know that Sexton loop?
The Sexton loop that they scored off last week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fed up with scoring tries off that.
And the flatline attack. No imagination. And
it kind of finished in a bit of a whimper.
Yeah, no imagination.
I felt like she got massively carried away early on in the tweet, and then she sort of ran out.
She lacked imagination at the end, if you will. But so
we should get her on the show.
You should. Will you come on the show?
I think JP is a man as well, so he'll be delighted to hear
as well as a woman.
He's
been characterized like this.
My visa to Bahrain yesterday had me down as a female, which caused consternation in the airport when I arrived, trying to explain to them that I wasn't. But yeah, this okay. So this is a good way to start. That's how everyone has been feeling by the sounds of it. What do you make of that? Start with embarrassed. Did you feel embarrassed?
Did you feel embarrassed? I didn't feel embarrassed.
No, I was too busy having the crack with the Welsh lads.
Yeah.
To feel embarrassed.
Had you been more sober, would you be more embarrassed?
Potentially.
I didn't feel embarrassed.
No.
I felt let down. You know why I felt let down? Because when Ireland lose, no one listens to our podcast. That's why I felt let down.
Okay.
Because they're all worried about their own performance. Oh, we're going to win the Six Nations. They don't give a crap about us and our listeners.
Yeah.
And our numbers.
Yeah.
We're trying to make a living here as well, lads.
Yeah. Selfish. Yeah, you made that point last week. I think you're right.
Did I make that point last week?
You did say selfish. Someone was selfish.
Oh, someone else was selfish for listening to the podcast but not subscribing.
That was it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the outtakes, which I very much enjoyed.
Yeah.
Deeper issues. What deeper issues do you think?
Deeper issues like what? Like mental health, or like a rugby related issue. They mean here, obviously.
I don't know.
Or like is someone going? Like someone getting divorced, or someone struggling with. I mean, what is she talking? What is he? What is he talking about?
Yeah, I don't know.
Deeper issues. Much deeper. He says.
Issues. Yeah, it's very suggestive. Well, he's pissed off and he's fed up with the Sexton loop, which, as we alluded to, did score last week. Flatline attack, no imagination. Okay, my take on it. Actually, what's your take on the thingy first?
I think after the game, this is a game where you come out and there's a series of things pop into your head that you should say, or just wee one-liners that are appropriate for this occasion. So I've compiled a list of appropriate one-liners.
Brilliant.
Okay. The game got away from us.
Did.
We ended up with a mountain to climb. We're going to use that hurt and learn from it.
Oh, I heard a few of them. Yeah.
It's important that we get back on the wagon. I was about to say bandwagon. Don't get on that.
No.
Credit to Wales.
There was a lot of that, which fair enough, but
yeah,
boring.
The margins are fine.
Fine margins.
Fine. So fine.
Grand, yep.
And my favourite, we haven't become a bad side overnight.
No.
So that's the template.
I'd love someone to just come out with something outrageous.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the crack.
Like what?
just like calling someone out for being shit straight away, you know. Sure, he was shy.
Sure, we were bad, but did you see that guy?
Yeah.
One of his teammates, like,
yeah.
or blaming Joe or something.
Yeah.
Or blaming like Richie Murphy, the kicking coach or something.
Just totally throws someone obscure under the bus. Yeah. Look, it's I think Pat's going to come on later on and play some clips for us from a few of the players after the match, and we'll discuss mostly what you just read there. I think is what they're going to say. My take on it, I think there's a few things that people have been giving out about, and that is, should the key players who weren't having the best game, should they have been hauled off and someone else given a chance to change the game, or is it Schmidt's tactics that are causing us the troubles at the moment?
You'd be brave to, like, I know people are talking about Sexton and Murray, you'd be brave to take off Sexton and Murray. It's a really brave call. Sexton was the best player in the world last year. Murray probably wasn't that far behind him. As a 9-10 partnership, there's no one better. Like, historically or traditionally, it's up until recently, I know the performances have dropped off a little bit from where they were, but that's a big call. And again, it's a hindsight call.
Yeah.
From a supporter saying we should have had them off.
Yeah. At 60 minutes.
Yeah.
And like, if we go off what Joe Schmidt, what he likes to do is let those two run the show for him. So if he takes them off, his game plan crumbles. So he doesn't have the control over the game, and the rest of the players in the pitch don't have it. So I think you just can't do that until the time they did, 60, 65 minutes anyway, when it's definitely out of reach.
Yeah.
And then saying that, look, you go back, okay, you look at those 2 points, should you taking the players off, or should we have a plan B for Joe Schmidt, rather than just the way that we always see him play? Is there a plan B where, I think, didn't you mention Finn Russell came out after the game? Apparently
he came out after the game and said that he implemented a change. Like, he himself said, "This isn't working. Why don't we try this?" And I only saw bits of that England-Scotland game, so I don't really know exactly what it was. But it looked like they kind of cut loose a little bit. Obviously, with the weather and stuff in Cardiff, it would be a lot more difficult to start slinging balls left, right, and centre. And if you start doing that, you start giving away intercepts.
No, I don't even think that's what Ireland needed. I think Ireland needed to play territory and get it.
Play less rugby.
Yeah, I think they needed to. When everyone says they need a plan B, it's not just throw offloads. Okay, on a nice day, they definitely can afford to do a little bit more of that and to have that freedom to do it. But on a day like Saturday, it's put the ball in the corner, apply pressure, and kick our goals when we got the opportunity.
After the England game, there was quite a lot of pundits and commentators come out and said that Ireland needed to look at the way they were playing and play a bit more expansively, look for more offloads, get it into the wider channels where you get a little bit more joy. Do you think Joe, in a way, has said, okay, well, if you want us to do that, we'll do that and see where it gets us, and then almost, here's an example of that done. We're kind of taking your word for it, and it was on a game plan that didn't work.
I don't think we played too much rugby at the weekend.
We just played more than Wales, though.
Yeah, but I don't think we kicked like we normally do. Like, when Ireland are at our best, we apply pressure. So from a kickoff, like the weekend, like if you take the big moments in the game, Wales kick off, and we'd expect Ireland to take that, to protect our wingers. I don't even know why Stockdale was taking that kick. He normally, a winger wouldn't be taking that. He'd be deeper than he was. But you'd want CJ or one of the back rowers to be taking that, or getting a lift on one of the second rows, and then we set a solid platform, and we get Murray putting a box kick in. We get a big chase and apply pressure on them, and the exact opposite it does. Your winger gets tackled into touch.
Yeah,
they get the
shocking
ball.
Tone to start the game with.
Unbelievable! Like, you'd never see that. So, so that's just one example. And then, okay, that was brilliant from Wales, you have to say.
No, to be fair, the hang time was massive.
Yep.
George North, 100 miles an hour. He pretty much got man on ball, didn't he? Jacob didn't really have much.
No.
How much time to do
Just
anything
kind of
else?
ragdoll them.
Yeah. And then that did set a tone. I'm not saying that
Mm.
was that influential, but certainly it set a tone at the start of the game.
And then obviously the skill for Manscombe to put that chip through for Parks to score a try, brilliant.
Yeah, that's nice,
Hat off
wasn't
to
it?
them for that. Then we responded, won the kickoff, won Sexton's kickoff. Then we played through some phase play, and it was all really good stuff. There was a couple where this is my thing on where we are at the moment. They all know where they have to be at every point in play, right? They all know the system, so they have to be where they want. But there's such a level of anxiety in most of it. They're often there too early. They're getting ahead of the ball, so they're too flat. Sexton's too flat, and he's taking the ball standing, and he's just shipping on little passes. Like anytime that happened, Wales are just pushing us backwards.
See, I thought actually, although it looked like players were overrunning the pass, I thought there was a lot of inaccurate passing going on. So if one person catches it here and takes a second, by the time he delivers it onto the next guy, then he has already overran it. I think that was probably more the case. I think if the passing was crisp and sharp, as to be fair, you're probably asking a lot on a wet day.
Yeah.
But if the passing was crisp, then I think those lines of running would have all been spot on. But it just looked like Wales kind of coped with that a little bit better, or their passes were sharper or more crisp or
more
but accurate.
Even in that first 10 minutes, we actually made a couple of breaks. And I remember Ringrose made that little break, and he swung around and he threw an offload, and it was intercepted. They kicked it back to the field. But if he'd actually passed that to Kearney, who was the 15 outside him, Kearney had Earls outside him, and I think Owens was the first line of defence on Kearney. And like that, so that split moment, you could have had a try if Ringrose had passed it to Kearney as opposed to try and pass to Aki. And then there was just a few moments like that in the first 15, 20 minutes where we weren't playing badly. We were stretching them when we could.
Yeah.
But then we had the opportunity to kick a few penalties, and we went to the corner. And I thought they were just that's a huge decision to make.
Yeah.
Like 30 minutes in, we've had a lot of little mistakes, like Keane Healy had a knock on, Murray had a knock on. There was just a few little mistakes that were like at the wrong time when we were building phases. But now you have an opportunity to take a shot, fire a shot, and get 3 points on the board.
Were we just 7-0 down at the time?
I think we're 10-0 down at that point, yeah. And we went to the corner, and not only like if you don't score, that's a missed opportunity, but the boost that gives to Wales, and it did give to Wales when Murray was turned over off that maul for being held up. The stadium erupted, like, and then they clear it, and then they got a few. Wales, to be fair, got a few home ground decisions, I think, in the first half as well. Alan Wynne-Jones got away with line on top of the ball twice. We both of them in front of the post.
Absolutely, one of them was a definite penalty.
Yeah. Within
it was
like
one where
15 seconds of each other.
Was it Keane Healy? Was I don't know if he was carrying. I'm not sure if he carried or he was the next at the rock. But someone got past him, and Alan Wynne was doing that thing where he kind of looks to hold you up for a second, and then just flops down on our side, slightly before, like now before it's become a rock, I suppose, or But he knows exactly what he's doing there, and he's making it look like it's unplayable, or he can't get out of there, but he's not pinned. Sorry, he might be pinned, but he's allowed himself to get pinned. Exactly, yeah.
That's the rule. You can't,
definite penalty.
You can't put yourself there in the first place.
Yeah.
That happened twice in the same phase of play, within like 30 seconds, and he got away with both of them. And Murray was like a lunatic, Sexton was like a lunatic. Again, that would have put them on the scoreboard, and at least quieten the crowd as opposed to the opposite. It gives them a boost. And that was actually when we got the scrum and CJ took the quick tap. And, so you get a few errors because they're nervous. Obviously, they're really nervous at the moment. And you're up against a savage Welsh side as well. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm probably making a few excuses here, but...
Listen, fine margins.
They had a mountain to climb as well at the time.
Do you think, how long after the game do you think it would have been before someone slagged CJ?
Oh.
Could it have been straight after? Because I know in South Africa, actually CJ is the example I'm thinking again. Remember CJ got red carded? We slagged him on the bus after the game.
Yeah.
We won that game, to be fair.
Okay.
So then it's grand, isn't it?
No, I would want to be slagged straight away.
Just get it done, get out of the way.
Yeah, absolutely. It was so bad. He hit it off his shin. You could see the excitement in it. Like, I remember Frankie Sheehan did that as well before, and don't know if he kicked himself in the face with the ball, but there was something hilarious. But
I was always really nervous about doing that.
I would never do that.
You would put it on the ground, kick it
Yeah.
forward a little bit, and then
Yeah.
pick it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's terrifying.
I
But
know we disagreed though over the Sexton penalty
yeah,
a little bit. I thought that was probably fair enough. I'm not saying it was a definite penalty. I can see why it was given. The one where he seals it
Oh,
off.
sorry. Yeah, I thought you meant the kick to the touch. Yeah, so Sexton, Stockdale took the high kick, and Sexton kind of tripped over, landed on top of him, and then
And they just kind of
shimmied
shimmied
across.
I think that's what the rep said. Shimmying.
They're a terror for the
He
shimmy.
went a guy who said you shimmied it off.
But that was still, I just think there's certain ones like that. Tadhg Beirne was penalised for going in the side at one ruck when it was no more in the side. He just ended up, you know, when he goes in straight, but then he swings around and it looks more like he comes in the side.
Yeah. I think I know the one you're talking about, and I thought it was, I could see how it was given as well.
They're just such fine margins. The one against
I mean,
Jesus Christ.
Yes. I mean, do you think we've become a bad side overnight?
That's another one, and then there's one more. The James Ryan one, the line out when he walked down the line out, the middle line out. Again, there are little things that I think
you were very
crowd-
close. You were very close.
Home crowd, is that another one?
Yeah.
So to be fair to Wales, you know,
Credit to Wales.
So yeah, look, I think first 40 minutes there was no reason why to whip Johnny Sexton or Connie Murray off the field. I think it was close. The scoreboard did. I guess they pulled away by half time and they were 16-0 up. But then the second half starts and it's panic stations because we make a few early mistakes and they get another kick, and that's when the pressure starts mounting. And I think it did kind of crumble after that. But
but it goes that way. If you're losing, then you start forcing things, and you become more desperate. And if something goes wrong on top of that, then it just feels like it's more of a mental barrier to get back in the game. Just feels like a mountain to climb, and it does. The game does get away.
This is great. There was a scrum at 2 minutes into the second half, or a midfield scrum. It was 5 minutes and maybe 5 minutes, and midfield scrum on the halfway line. And what do you do in a situation like that normally? As if you're an attacking team, you want to apply a bit of pressure, settle your side. You go 8-9 and you drill it into the corner, and you put, the 8-9 just puts it down there, and all of a sudden you're down in their 5 meter line. It's very hard to defend that, basically. And we tried to do the move with Bundy coming blind.
Yeah.
Which any other day could have worked, because it needs to be a big pass. Like, he's come back in a switch. He's got to hit either Ringrose on a pullback, or he's got to hit Kearney on a big wide pass. And those conditions are really difficult to do. So we ended up making a bit of a balls of that. They got on top, and I think they got a penalty from that as well.
Yeah, Navidi read that well.
Yeah.
But did he read it well, or did he just not work as hard as Ireland anticipated him to work?
Yeah.
When Ireland go left off that,
he drops under.
You would imagine then, I can't remember what way the scrum wheeled. I think
it was pretty straight.
Did it?
Yeah, to be fair to him, like, he just...
So, but typically then he would maybe chase around to Ireland's left, to his right.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He kind of stood there for a second, and then he went, "Oh,
I'll come back this way."
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
This has worked out great. So it looks he's either really, really switched on, or he just maybe switched off for a wee second, and then fortunately ended up in the perfect position.
Yeah.
So
I caught Ryle Nugent.
What did he say?
Coming out with a few Nevedis or
Nevidi.
Definitely didn't call him Navidi a few times. And
so look at
Tadhg.
No way.
Yeah.
Are people still doing this?
Just Ryle Nugent, man. He's a terror for it. He decides himself what people's names are.
So did you see the Ulster Racing game at the end of January there, where Ulster just designed all these ways of getting Jacob the ball.
Yeah.
And it was a slightly left of midfield scrum with just Jacob on the left, I think. And whatever the play was, they looked like they faked like they were going right, and then someone swept round, something like the opposite of what Bundy did at the weekend, and just give the ball to Jacob. And because Racing had chased round, so
yeah, I know.
On another occasion, and you're right, when it's wet, it's more
when it's
difficult
wet,
to
and when we just want to get some sort of foothold and position and possession, just do what the bread and butter is. And I think, as you said earlier on when you were saying Finn Russell took the Scottish game by the scruff of the neck and did his own thing. Should we be allowed to have the freedom, the players allowed to have the freedom to go, hey, hang on, Joe, we're not doing this right now. We need to just play for position here and apply pressure. Yeah. So that's what all Wales did. And,
although I would imagine when Joe says, when he shows them the menu of what options are available, I would imagine off that midfield scrum, there would be a couple of options.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought before, like on the Tuesday when they're coming up with the game plan, here's what we're doing when we're here, because it'll depend on where the game's at, what the weather's like, who's maybe if they've got a yellow card, lots of different things coming into it. And I would imagine there would have been another option. So I wouldn't have thought that would be Joe's fault. I would have thought that would be, well, I'm not saying it's anybody's fault, so I don't think there's an issue with that.
Hey, look, neither of us want to say whose fault it is, but I know someone who does want to say whose fault it is.
JP.
Let's get Pat on here.
Pat,
Pat the Prick is going to come on here.
Pat, you're JP.
Ask some of the harder questions. So we'll take a quick break, and then Pat will be back for part 2 to hear some little snippets from the post-match interviews. Right, welcome back, and welcome to producer Pat, who was over the Principality Stadium on Saturday for Joe to witness that Welsh victory. How'd you get on? Good crack? Great, is it?
Great crack.
Great.
There was a lady who came to me. I was sitting, the press seats are absolutely class. They're in the halfway line in the Principality Stadium, and you're on the lower level, so you get a great view of everything. But you're right in the midst of all the fans then as well. And there's a lot of interaction with fans, and they're all half scooped out of it as well. So there was a lady who came up to me at half time because I was over right at the barrier, and she was wearing all green, Irish fan, and she was saying, I'm a witch, I'm a white witch. Don't worry, we're going to win. Like, I've got it all sorted. Like, and you're like, oh, okay, brilliant, great stuff. And then she headed off and came back with like a tray full of drinks then. And then she reminded me again, we're going to win here. I've set it all up. Like,
where is this witch?
Yeah.
She's been sacrificed.
Yeah.
Burn witch. Wrong.
Oh, I should have found her at the end of the game. Like, what happened? But the atmosphere was incredible. I know they wanted to have that roof open because I was there 2 years ago, and the atmosphere is crazy in Cardiff, like for the home games. Yeah. Like the pageantry around those games is crazy, and the anthems and stuff like that. And so I know that's why they wanted the roof open, because they wanted to take a little bit of that away. But it was all everybody was talking to me about in Cardiff, like from the moment I landed over there and all the way up the lead up to the game. Some of the journalists talking about it as well. Even during the game, the Welsh players were kind of patting the Irish lads in the head when they would drop a ball, and then at the end of the game, it was like that was their big mistake. The roof, you idiots! Like you left it open. This is why you lost. And even getting a taxi out the next day, again, it's a taxi driver saying like, "Well, it's your own fault. You shouldn't have. You should have closed the roof."
It was the sunroof and the way to unlucky, have it your way, mate.
Yeah. So it was it was crazy. Now I was sitting beside Murray Kinsella from the 42 in the row where I was, and I was probably a bit more emotional than him. We were sitting there, and maybe he's got that more analytical mind, because he was just kind of, But when Ireland were dropping these easy things or giving away penalties, I was just like, oh Jesus, oh fuck, oh God, like so.
He was grand. Murray Kinsella was grand, was he?
Yeah, he was
very level-headed. He's a bit of a white wizard, isn't he?
Yeah,
picking the team before it's announced.
Yeah. That was something Schmidt gave out about in the Monday press huddle at the end. He wasn't happy that the team had been kind of to say leaked. Yeah, like is one way of putting it. Another way is just saying that it was successfully predicted a day before. He wasn't happy with that at all. He said Gatland
here, would you?
No, we don't leak.
We won't be successfully predicting either.
But yeah, and it was as I said, then the panto villain for all the Welsh fans was Johnny Sexton as well. And I think just right before half time when Ireland gave away that penalty, I think it was on the 22. I think that was the one that made it 16-0. But Sexton was the one who threw the ball back at the ref. Yeah. Told the ref to F off, and it was caught in slow-mo on the big screen, and everybody laughing and booing and
flip off, he says.
Flip yourself, Gardner. So yeah, it was.
So Pat, it sounds to me like you're not sticking with Ireland.
I've turned against them.
Yeah. Are you a genuine fan?
Oh yeah.
At the prick.
Joe has laid down the challenge.
Yeah, well that's it again, because everybody was saying then at the end, just are Wales now the team to win the World Cup? Are Wales the team to watch? And then so Joe Schmidt said after the end of the game that that's the narrative set by the media. We've never said we're the best in the world. This is the narrative that you guys are putting out there.
You asked one of your questions that tends to annoy them.
Yeah,
like you did to Sexton when you pissed him off.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
What did you ask him again?
At the end of the game, I'd seen that back here in Ireland, it had been reported as a horror show for Ireland. So I put that to Joe, saying,
"It must be so awkward when you ask that question."
Yeah, well, you're
you're
the bad guy as well, and
you're like, don't shoot the messenger.
Hey, I didn't say it was a horror show, but I've heard it being said that it was a horror show. So said that to him, but I then said, "Are we again overreacting to this? Like we might have got carried away when we beat the All Blacks. So are we getting carried away again now when we're calling it a horror show?" So. Schmidt answered that, and he also asked. He was asked a good question at the end about have we been found out? Have Ireland been found out? So I think we can hear that now.
Well, I guess you guys will set the narrative. Really, we can only perform in those 2 40-minute windows that we get, and then the narrative will be whatever pundits or journalists put out there. But for us, we would certainly encourage the genuine supporter not to lose faith with the team, that the team will definitely turn up in Japan, and we'll grow a bit from this. You only have to look back a year and see that England went back-to-back in the championship and ended up 5th. We fought our way to 3rd. We're in the top half of the championship. We haven't been catastrophic, but we haven't been as good as we needed to be, and today was probably an example of that. At the same time, I'd like to take my hat off to Wales and to Gats and the 12 years. To be 12 years as an international coach, I've done 6 and it's damn near killed me. So I don't know how Gats has managed 12 and to be as competitive as they have been. And they hadn't won one for 5 years, and so to get this one, you could see what it meant to them. You could see what it meant to them when they were celebrating, and for us. While we would have loved to have won it, hats off to Wales. What a super effort today. What a super effort through the championship to come. Ironically, we were 16-0 down at half time. So were they against France, and they maybe got a helping hand a couple of times in that match to get back into it. But they got back into it, and they know how to fight their way through to the finish. Yeah, I think Wales today in the conditions. They got the benefit of some set-piece decisions, and on the back of that, maintained the pressure that they got off that first try. And in the conditions today, we actually said that they'd do exactly what they did in those first 2 minutes. So, working a team out, even sometimes what a team's going to do. It's another thing to stop them. And we felt that England would do what they did as well, and it was difficult to stop them. England knew what we were going to do in Twickenham last year, but we were difficult to stop. And so on any given day, that's the very highest level of Test rugby, where the margins are fine. On any given day, when you get the momentum at the start of the game, it is hard to then swing the momentum back in your favour, and that's a challenge for any team.
Right, very interesting comments from Joe Schmidt there. You nailed a lot of his cliches.
Uh-huh.
He tipped his hat many times. That was one that you didn't include.
No, I didn't. Yeah. Well, I did say credit to Wales. He took his hat off to Wales.
Yeah. Well, maybe just stick it in there. Just keep it in mind
for next time.
Going forward.
Something to work on. Something to learn from.
We got there.
Well, yeah, like there was. So that was a couple of the questions there were about Sexton again, and the Sexton Murray thing. I kind of think maybe that if Joey Carberry, if he had been fit, he might have come on sooner in that game. But maybe it's because it's Jack Carthy. he's like, the faith again isn't there. He doesn't know everything that they want to do. That's why he didn't come on until later in the piece. But Sexton's head appeared to have gone. Like the second half, he fell apart completely. Like he was kicking the ball out on the full. His restarts were woeful. And yeah, he was just kind of mumbling to himself and giving out. And he wasn't helped a few times. It's definitely in the first half. You guys made a good point that they actually did, get through Wales a couple of times in the first half. But Conor Murray's passing wasn't up to scratch at all in that game as well. And that wasn't helping Sexton. There's a few passes Sexton had to take like that over his head or right up here. And as you said, that slowed them down completely. But
I mean, Johnny only started giving off though once the game was out of reach. I don't think Johnny's body language or his demeanour, the way he was getting on, was to blame for the performance. Like that seems to be the narrative, but that's a handy narrative that's kind of dictated afterwards in hindsight. I think because it's only you chase the game, and you believe for a long period until it gets to, I don't know, maybe 60 minutes plus, and then at that stage the game's gone. You're not getting back in the game, and I think then the frustration starts to come out. And I don't think you can blame the way he was getting on there on the performance, which is I think is an easy target.
I actually think with Sexton that if he's not carrying an injury, it's crazy to see how much he's fallen off a cliff there. He came into the Six Nations without having played a game because he got injured in that, or he came off in that Munster game in late, I think it was the 29th of December, and then came into the Six Nations off the back of that. But you seen when he went off in that Italy game as well, just immediately getting strapped up, ice on him, cellophane on it as well. And he hasn't, if you have a look at his stats for the championship as well, nowhere near involved as many carries, as many line breaks as he made last year at all. And I don't know whether that's because Ireland's game plan has changed, but he's not appearing in as many backline moves at all. He's taken them into contact and he's just kind of running straight at people.
I think that's the flow, though, that I would criticise as opposed to him. I think it's the flow of the team. So the set piece wasn't working at the weekend.
Yeah.
And then, as I said earlier on, when we get players that know they have to be in a certain structure, they were arriving there early a lot of the time. Either they were taking a standing pass off Murray, or Sexton was having to take maybe not a great pass because conditions were bad for Conor as well. But then he was getting forwards that were just standing beside him, and he was just shifting either inside or outside. Not shifting the blame off him, but it certainly wasn't just him that was upsetting the whole pattern on the side. I think it was definitely because anytime we got quick ball and we got good ball in that first half, we had some really nice plays. We had a couple in the second half when we went down the short side as well. But to be fair though, I thought when Carty came on, he made a big impact. And whether it's Carty or Carberry, I think no player should be untouchable. And that for me was always a strong point of Joe Schmidt's, that he had this fear. The players were afraid of him. The norm was above the law with him. And if you're not playing well, then you're off the pitch. And it doesn't mean you've gone as you said, fallen off the edge of the cliff or whatever like that. It's not really that. It's just if for whatever reason it's not going well for you, the team needs a shift and bring someone else on that will inject a bit of life.
It seems to be like that. They're like if you look at the debuts they gave to lads after World Cup 2016, 2017, 2018, there was 8 or 9 new faces coming in all the time. But this time around, I think Carty might have been the only fresh face to kind of get a debut during this championship as well. Even though lads came in, they used an awful lot of players as well during this championship, but not a lot of kind of fresh faces again. And it looks almost like Schmidt has built all the way up to 2019, and this starting team you've got 13 or 14 locks that he would consider this is who I'm going to go to the World Cup with. But now you look at it and it's kind of who is safe at our place anymore? You wonder, and again, we're not going to see that until August or September again when they start playing these warm-up games.
I don't know if it would have been a good idea to change things up, considering after the England game they were struggling for confidence. That took a lot of confidence out of this side, and then I think if you compound that with dropping guys to kind of teach them a lesson, get your act together, then I think that makes it upsets their confidence even more. A good example of that is CJ, who didn't play for a couple of weeks, and then Joe backed him, played against France, and he was brilliant. Yeah. So I think when Joe puts trust in a player and he backs them, then often the player repays that trust. And I think that was the Six Nations when the team as a whole was struggling for confidence. So I think to introduce little mind games or little ways of teaching guys lessons, I don't think that would have been appropriate either.
I was going to ask you guys about it there. Like let's say that game at the weekend. Was there anybody who really you thought played well? Like I thought a couple of guys did decent, but I can't, like, there wasn't even nearly in every game if a team loses, there's one or two guys who you still think, Jesus, he had a good game there. But
I think with the way they played, it's difficult because they forced it. So they're playing in those conditions. No matter what team you are, if you're forcing a game like that, players are going to make mistakes, and that's what happens. So there's a lot of errors there, and then. But like the effort was like, the last 5 minutes. I was with someone who was a soccer fan and not a rugby fan. They're like, I cannot believe that how much they're trying and have nothing to play for here, only their pride, and how hard they were working, and the ambition that was still there just to get a score with 5 minutes to go, another 25-0 down. So, and then, like James Ryan, like the effort the amount of work he got through, and I think everyone really is, and no one's dragging their hole essentially, like. So it's hard to say like they were all shite. It's just it didn't work for them for whatever reason, a number of reasons, fine margins, but they fucking worked hard. You know what I mean? They emptied the tank, and for me that's a huge that they actually finished that strong in the end. I think,
especially because there's people asking questions about the character, which I don't think is appropriate either. And if anything, they showed buckets of character at the end, digging in and showing that they still want to keep playing and working hard for each other. Joe will put a big emphasis on that. I can imagine the boys will meet up pre-season or whatever, and he might show that video of the last 5 minutes of the game, even when seemingly there's nothing to play for. It's still important that they show character and they still work for each other. In a similar way, I know Joe loves Marmion because he played out of position, everything going against them, against Australia, still smashed Pocock at one stage. You know what I mean? Just whenever you're up against a bit of adversity.
Yep.
And you dig in and show a bit of character. I think Joe loves that.
I think Marmion's the definite backup anyway for Conor Murray, and
he's a great player.
Yeah.
Great, he came a bit of pace when he came on.
Yeah, he did.
And Jack Conan had a great impact when he came on, and like, but you have to give credit to Wales. I got the hat here. I'll tip it to them. I mean, like, they're an unbelievable side, and they're so well drilled, and for them to have the know-how to go out and play in that particular fashion, to know that this, like as Joe Schmidt said, that Wales knew how they were going to play. He knew how Wales were going to play, but he couldn't stop them because they applied that pressure game so well, and in that boiling pot of an atmosphere as well, like, fucking hard place to go. Second best team in the world. You know what I mean?
There was a moment there at the end of the game, and it just shows you how hard Wales, because Wales wanted to keep it at 0 as well, and everybody was going in to see how long it'd been since Ireland hadn't scored. I think it was 2012 when they got beaten 60-0 by the All Blacks, and but there was a bit. There was a bit at the end.
I'm a stats man.
There was a bit at the end where Ireland, I think they gave the ball away near the Welsh line. Wales just kicked it clear, and Jordan Larmour had to go chasing it back. He got it back near halfway line, and I think it was Hadley Parks he came into, and he just got picked. Oh no, Jonathan Davis, and he just got ragdolled, picked up into the air. And then there's a lot of players all going to look, and he was looking for the choke tackle there as well. And as that was going on, Liam Williams was over on air wing on the right wing, and he just turned to the fans in the middle of the game as it was still going on, and he just started like doing that to them all as play was going on, big like shit-eating grin on his face, like. And I was just like, oh man, like this sums it up, and the crowd were absolutely loving it as well. Like, but yeah, they were, as much as Ireland kept going to the end, Wales kept going to the end as well. And I know it's easier to do when you're winning, but so many of those guys were just. Alan Wynne-Jones, I think 4 of their guys got nominated for Player of the Tournament. It was announced today, and Alan Wynne-Jones, I say, is going to win it. He just kind of summed it all up. He was great all the way through the championship.
Defensively, like I love looking up at the Sean Edwards in the coach's box, like he didn't move for the whole game, and then they had a big moment towards the end, and you could just see he goes, fucking get it, or whatever, like the big Nordy English accent. I remember doing a charity match with him over in England a few years ago where he was our coach, and it was supposed to be a bit of crack, and he was like, this is a fucking war, we're going out here to kill them. We were playing Leicester. It was like the rest of the world versus Leicester and Welford Road, and he brings, and like we were pumped going out playing this supposed charity crack match, and there was digs flying after 2 minutes, and it was largely down to him, you know.
Wow.
I remember seeing, actually, and Sky Sports had this thing years ago where it was a Thursday night rugby show, and they went around and asked different players where their favourite holiday destinations were. And you know, he's born and bred in Wigan, like in Manchester. They asked a few Welsh players, and they were like, "Oh, Ibiza or Lanzarote," I don't know. And they asked Drico, and he said, "Brazil. Let's just say the girls are slick."
I remember that.
And then straight after Drico, they went to Sean Edwards, and he just goes, "Wigan." That's perfect. But yeah, they've got a serious backroom staff, and look, I don't think we can be too ashamed about losing to the side of that.
Well, yeah, that's it. Like he apparently, like, he's looking for a job now. Like, he was kind of doing interviews at the end saying he hasn't got a job after Gatland leaves after World Cup. So
he was canvassing for work, like
he was walking around the mix zone, like, and I was just a reminder to all, I haven't got a job.
If he took over England, that would completely undermine everything he did with Wales, surely. But the Welsh people would hate him, like, just a job. Oh, I don't know. I'd be uncomfortable with that now. But Pat, you went and listened to a few of the players doing the usual cliches.
Yeah, have a listen now. Now that you boys have kind of teed it up of what they're going to say, I felt... I felt like, Jesus, the lads have actually been really honest with me here, and they've spoken from the heart, and now you've...
Shat all over.
Somebody basically coming out and reading notes off the back of their arm, but... Rob Kearney, Tadhg Beirne and Dave Kilcoyne, you can hear from them all now.
Was there a moment that you kind of maybe felt that the game was getting away from you guys? Like, just Anscombe kept kind of punishing us every time we'd make a mistake. Was it any part where you kind of felt we just kind of have to just dig in here until the very end?
I don't think this group really, dwells on trying to any one particular moment. We try and win every moment, and you build on moments. So whether that be something good we do, we try build on that. If it's something good Wales do, we try and rectify that as soon as possible and get back into our groove. Unfortunately today we didn't do that, and Wales came out on top.
From a personal point of view, a lot more involvement for yourself, a lot more minutes, and some decent performances during the Six Nations. Have you been happy about that you've kind of taken that step forward as well?
Yeah, look, I've always been a team man first, and it's tough today after losing to Wales and Millennium, so you don't really look at individual performance. Obviously, anytime you're playing for Ireland is a huge occasion for not just you, but your family, and I've my parents at home and my two brothers who are prouder and see me out there today. It's tough on the result. Obviously it didn't go the way we go, but personally it's good to get back involved. But as I said, I'm a team man first, and we didn't perform.
At the risk of saying the absolute obvious, if you give away a try in the first 70 seconds, it left a mountain to climb from then.
Yeah, obviously not ideal. We wanted to go after them a bit, and they put a lot of pressure on us, and from the kick-off, and then they executed the try very well, and we'll look back at that and hopefully we'll be able to improve.
Tadhg, what did you talk about in the dressing room immediately after? Is it new problems, or is it the same problems that have been affecting the team throughout the campaign?
I wouldn't say problems, to be honest. Look, it's not.
Would you not agree there's a problem somewhere from a team who beat the All Blacks a few months ago to a few poor
performances? No, like obviously we haven't played to our potential. That's all the problem is, probably. I think definitely if we stick to what we know and stick to what we've done in the past, we'll definitely be able to improve. It's just probably about finding our feet again and putting in those performances.
Rory said yesterday that if you were beaten today, it wouldn't be because the other team wanted it more. It kind of looked as if Wales, obviously with a Grand Slam on the line, did want it more.
Well, that certainly wasn't the case for me anyway, and I can definitely speak for everyone in there. That's not like any player. Everyone goes out there to win, and everyone was hungry for this, especially knowing it's Bessie's last game in the Six Nations, and we spoke about that all week, and we were eager to get out there and put in a performance, and unfortunately it didn't work out that way today.
Is there anything, Rob, for let's say fans who might be a little bit worried after the manner of the English game and this game today as well, to kind of maybe assure them that maybe given a bit of time you guys can, you're still the team that beat the All Blacks, you're still that team that, you're still this team that just are a little bit off, but you're not too far away at the same time?
Yeah, we had this incredible year last year, and after every game, we'd always say, listen, the margins are small, we've done really well to win this. And then this year, we've come out the other side of that now, albeit the manner in some of the games, you can't say the margins are small because, there's been a couple of heavy enough defeats in it. But, we're still a huge amount of confidence in how we are as a team, in terms of what we can achieve as a team. We just need to be realistic that there's lots of other good teams out there too.
It was weird along the lines of the Twickenham thing last year, where England were, trying to push you guys, and you guys were trying to hold them out at the end, and weird 12 months later to be in that position where you guys are pushing it at the end. But what was it like to kind of stand out there and see the Welsh, all the streamers floating them for them again? Like, is this something that you can use maybe for the good? Is it that kind of hurt good to use again?
Yeah, you have to bank all these tough days. There's no doubt about it. Today was a tough day. It's tough watching, one of your, competing nations lift trophies. So, that is, it's a memory, it's a picture that will live with all of us, for a long time over the next few months, and we'll be brewing away. And, we just need to make sure that we can use days like today to our advantage.
And you spoke so well during the championship, talking about how you guys are human, and sometimes people forget that as well. But do you think there might be a little bit of a backlash now for the next few weeks? The mood might be a little bit against you until you guys go out and maybe just get back to business for the provinces as well.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be. There was a huge backlash after the English game. There was a little bit of a backlash after the Italian game, albeit we'd won with the bonus points, didn't play particularly well, but so I'm sure there'll be lots said about us as players and as a team over the coming weeks. But it's part of being professional athletes too. We just need to come together, close rank a little bit, and just never lose focus of how good we are as players and as a team.
Okay, as you can hear, some pretty gutted players there, understandably. I suppose that the backlash from the public is something that's inevitable over the next few weeks. But I don't think we got ahead of ourselves over the last few months, did we? It's not like we had reason to believe that we were the second best team in the world, and then we still have reason to think that we can go to the World Cup and do damage.
I think we're even more dangerous now.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Quickly think, how am I going to back that up?
If there's no follow-up, I think we're even more dangerous.
Just leave it there. That's all we have time for on Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby. I just think it's nice that we're just back under the radar a little bit, and now Wales are the ones they've got the target on their back. Ireland can just turn up at the World Cup, and less is expected of them. Obviously, pre-season friendlies in August will kind of dictate how things are sitting. But I think what we should do is we should just beat Scotland the first game by 10 points. Then we beat Japan. Then after that we beat Samoa and Russia.
Either or.
Both of them.
Whichever one.
No, we have to play all 4 teams.
Whatever team comes
first. Am I right in saying?
You're right.
Whoever comes first. we will defeat them.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
Then we'll go on and we'll play South Africa in the quarterfinals.
What should we do against them though?
We'll only beat them by 2 points. But listen, a win's a win. At that stage, we're already history makers.
Yeah.
Then it depends on final part. France.
No, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is we should just take it one step at a time, and we'll be grand.
Yeah.
I think we'll be fine.
I think there's good news there.
That is serious words of wisdom there.
Can we cut that out?
Yeah,
I don't know.
It is 100% taken there. How to do that? So I was thinking about little things that they need to, little things that I think they could potentially improve on is our ability to play more free-flowing, off-the-cuff, creative rugby. Because, most importantly, that's what I like watching. And I do get frustrated when we don't play really free-flowing, expansive rugby. And I heard the English attack coach, Scott Wisemantel, say that they have a 20-minute part of every session where they can have creative time. Like it's like kindergarten, where you give them little time to have the crack with their best toy. Where they just throw the ball around.
We had that before.
Willy-nilly.
Ireland had that.
How did it go?
I can't really remember. I think it was before the 2011 World Cup. think Les Kiss introduced the X zone, which was the experimental zone.
Cool.
I think there was like 10-minute period where everybody was allowed to try offloads and silly stuff.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Like the offloads of the weekend, the English match, like that Slade's one and what's his name, fullback, Elliot Daly's little out the back door. Like, you only get good at that stuff if you're doing it every day of the week. Like, I remember we did it in Munster. Like, Dennis Leamy used to do these outrageous backdoor passes. And he started, because back then it was like 2009, 2010, there was no one really doing that stuff.
Yeah, Dennis Leamy was leading the way with the biggest hands you've ever seen in your life.
Exactly. So he started
Those
kind of
hands were
teaching
made
us
for
how
that.
to do it.
Yeah.
And that then you start doing them. You know what I mean?
Thok and Asinga did that for England last weekend. Man of the match, and then got dropped.
Yeah. But in fairness, Jack Noel was pretty class.
Yeah.
But that's scary how much strength they have, like being able to drop a guy like that. He's unbelievable. But that's the only thing I'd like to see happen, because Eddie Jones did say, I remember saying this a few weeks ago, where England hadn't even started really working on their attack side of things, and I presume that's what he was alluding to. They've got, so much up their sleeve.
I hope to God Ireland haven't started on their attack work as well.
Yeah.
We're saving it.
We'll get there. We'll tie all that stuff up.
I think I've created a foolproof
plan.
Yeah.
You want to fax that off there to Joe.
Right.
Should be grand.
They'll be fine. Right, we're right back with House of Rugby, Rugby Roundup. And all of your Twitter questions in 2 seconds. Okay, welcome back to the Rugby Roundup. And before we go on, just back to your experimental thingy, the X Zone. As a nation of artists and poets and scholars and thinkers, very creative people, shouldn't we live in that kind of zone? Even for sports people, that's where we belong. In that off the cuff, let them express themselves.
Laissez-faire.
Yeah. To a certain extent, obviously you want to have order and a team environment where they're all working together. But I suppose I would love to see it that, like, what they're doing isn't essentially wrong, but I'd love to see that when they're at their best is when I think they beat the All Blacks, when they have that edge to them, where they're in flow. I think it's flow. That
flow,
word.
yeah.
It's like
flow is like that mindset, isn't that like mindfulness thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where the whole game kind of passes you by and you've been in the zone the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we should be open to being innovative and creative and experimental, being in the X zone. Do you remember? It's kind of what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And we should get R&D tax credits as well. So having said that, it's important to learn to be innovative or be open to be innovative.
Yeah.
But you have to learn to win, and that's what Ireland, notwithstanding last weekend or the Six Nations, we're a team of winners. I think we created a winning mentality, and it's been broken recently, but it's not a million miles away from fixing. Last weekend I watched the France game with Donegal Ryan, and he made the point that French teams aren't competitive enough when they're or youngsters when they're playing rugby in France. All incredibly talented. They spend a lot of time in the X zone, trying stuff coming off, footwork, offloads, all this kind of stuff. They're capable of doing loads of stuff, but they don't learn to win. And I think this Ireland side, like, again, not a good time to talk about this. Right. But we have learned to win.
Discipline. Yeah.
So just to have that balance, to have an X zone, experimental zone.
I was watching A Star Is Born on the flight.
Oh, it's class,
this
isn't it?
morning. Yeah, unbelievable. And the part where they're sitting in the car park at the start. Oh, it's such a brilliant start to a film, because that's still a start. You know what I mean? Like, but it's about 40 minutes in, and she sings that song to him when he's langers drunk, sitting in the car park. And then the next night she flies to the gig, and he just goes, "We're going to play that song." And he's like, just go.
And she pretends she's not keen at the start. Yeah. No. But she gets on just in time to sing the chorus.
Oh, smashes it out. We were watching it and you're like, this is unbelievable. The flow that the two of them are in. But it's like, how did he know the chords and how did he remember the lyrics?
Yeah, he was steaming.
He was drunk. He would have remembered her. He probably didn't even remember her name. What's her one's name from last night again? Should have won. I was in the car park sitting down.
She was singing something.
She had the peas at her end. So that's what Ireland need to do. Something along those lines. Right? Yeah. That's great.
And also follow my path. Follow my plan. Listen, it's full proof. There's room for innovation.
Yeah.
In the X zone, in between those games.
Yeah.
Beat Scotland, beat Japan, beat Samoa, beat Russia, beat South Africa.
We should go into like X development. We go into companies and we develop their X game. Okay, moving on to rounding up rugby. Ireland under-20s Grand Slam champions.
They saved the day.
They did.
They saved the hopes of the nation.
Ye legends, thank you all very much.
The senior men and the senior women let us all down. But the youngsters.
The youth of this country, everyone be writing them off Generation X or Z. What are they again?
They're probably way past that by now. What were we? Were we not Generation X?
Can't remember what we were.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Fair play. They beat Wales on Friday night. Clean sweep. Obviously, Dylan, Tierney, Martin, I think had a great game again. And John Hodnett was immense.
Scott Penny? No?
Scott Penny. Yeah, I didn't see the game now because we were away.
He's a big favourite of ours.
Yeah. Serious player. I'd say he'll get a lot of game time now at the next few weeks. Leinster have qualified already.
Yeah.
You'd like to think that he might get some games. Again, Craig Casey didn't play the other night, but he's a brilliant player. And I heard the scrum half come on, and the third choice scrum half came on and scored a brilliant game-winning try as well. So fair play to you lads. I'd say they're going to have some crack this weekend, or have had some crack. Paddy's weekend, win the Grand Slam under-20s. Oh man, to be a young fella.
Those are good times.
Or to be one of their fathers. Just going on the piss with them.
Those are good times, weren't they? Well, we were 21s back in the day.
Yeah.
But good lads. Everybody's at the same age. Everybody, if you play schools together, then you're in the same team kind of for 3 years. Everybody knows each other well. Good mates.
Probably go on holidays now together in June.
Yeah.
Off to Lanzarote with.
My parents went to Argentina for our under-21s World Cup.
Yeah.
So did Killian Willis's mum and dad, Ross McCarran's mum and dad, a couple other mums and dads in around the same, and they're all still mates now. They're in a WhatsApp group and they meet up. They meet up once a year.
That's crazy.
Sound like swingers, don't they?
How didn't I pick up on that?
I teed you up.
Oh, that's great. What else happened in rugby? The women, not such a good weekend for them, unfortunately.
They're finishing another down.
No, we'll come up again. Lost 24-5 to Wales on Sunday. Unlucky. But unlucky. So that came out, didn't it? I didn't mean it like that. But back in the Six Nations, did you watch the England-Scottish match? Just saw bits of it.
Saw bits of it, yeah.
Unbelievable. Like that came on after the Ireland match, obviously. So I was in Dubai and we were flaming by the time that came on. And we were leaping around the place for that last 30 minutes. I've never seen 30 minutes of rugby like that.
Yeah.
Six Nations just churns out some unbelievable games.
I know.
Imagine if they'd have won it like the Scottish crowd, I'd say, in Twickenham. I mean, they still probably did go mental because of a 31-0 down comeback.
I know. It was just a shame they conceded in the end, wasn't it?
Mm.
Sorry, they bring us back down again.
Trying to keep us up.
I know. That's it. No, that's all we've got time for.
Yeah.
Done it again.
Italy obviously threw the game away against France as well. Just had a couple of terrible
Italy
kicks
were
at goal.
way better than them.
Yeah,
way better than them.
I know. I felt so bad for them.
I know.
To be fair, some of the French players were class. Like Penot was class, and
France were. I just thought Italy were like Conor O'Shea. I really wanted to see him get a win because they deserved it there, definitely. And again, it's pretty safe last game.
Yeah,
probably or definitely. Anyway,
in Six Nations. I
think. Yeah. Sorry, Six Nations. Anyway, I thought Italy were really good for long periods, and then maybe similar to that France kind of mindset, just need to learn to win.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Player of the Six Nations Championship for you? Anyone Irish?
Oh, are we going specifically Irish here?
No.
Nah.
Alan Wynne, I thought was amazing.
Yeah. Some of the English players. I think
Johnny
the English
May,
players just excited me more. Slade.
Yeah.
Slade was class. He had huge moments in every single game. You know, against Ireland, you know, he scored 1 try and
he set up the
he scored 2 tries
off the midfield scrum.
Yeah,
he set that up with Johnny May.
Had a huge impact the other night as well against Scotland.
And,
I just really enjoyed watching him play. Johnny May, Elliot Daly. Yeah, enjoyed England. Sorry to say. We did also ask you for your Guinness Made of More Irish Player of the Championship. And here were your nominees: James Ryan, Tadhg Furlong, Keith Earls, or Peter O'Mahony. And the winner is, I'd say he'd be delighted with this.
Oh, he'd be over the moon.
James Ryan. Yeah, I'd say that's probably what
he'll be like,
set of Paulie's teeth that he'll just...
Sure, we got hammered by Wales, but sure did now win the Irish Player of the Season, or whatever it's called.
We also put out the hashtag AskHOR on Twitter for some of your questions, which we got to one earlier on, but here's another one. Kevin Deegan asks, top 3 sports to bandwagon now that the rugby one is broken.
We'll fix it up. Get it back on track.
What sports to bandwagon on?
Well, he's saying the rugby bandwagon's broken. But I was saying we should stick with it. Joe issued a challenge to all genuine Ireland supporters.
No, this guy's asking us what next sports can we move on to.
Yeah, but I'm saying stick with it.
Right.
We'll be grand.
But we should...
What have you got? Have you got an obscure sport? Did you see any obscure sports when you were in the Middle East? That Ireland could be good at?
No, we didn't really. It's all just expats out there, isn't it?
Yeah, just playing rugby.
Cricket and rugby and...
You name it.
Yeah. Nah. Carl Mehigan. Should Joe Schmidt appoint an attack coach for the World Cup? Did we talk about this already?
No, we talked about it off air. He'll not do that.
He won't, because he is the attack coach and he's the backs coach.
Yeah, and he'll back himself. He always makes the point that it's not the play you do, it's the way you do the play. So the game plan that he implements, if everybody does their job, passes are accurate, breakdowns accurate, Joe's very confident in what he can deliver. And I think he'll remain confident.
Yeah.
That's my thoughts anyway.
He probably will. I mean, it might help this side if you just bring in someone that might make them just feel like there's a change.
Yeah.
Even though Joe is still running everything, but it just might be psychologically give them a boost. But
just a new voice, maybe, is that what you're saying?
Exactly, yeah. Especially if it's someone they respect, let's say Ronan Lagar or something like that.
Yeah.
That will come in and just support and facilitate everyone that's there. But he's very good at doing that anyway. So
yeah,
I'd love to see something like that happen. Someone that can add to it, then yeah, why not? Good question, Colin. Man, I'm getting these names wrong. Kieran Duncan, have you ever tried playing as yourself on a video game? I remember there being some quality rugby games on the PS2 circa 0508 with the club teams on it.
I once played, I don't know what it was, like, that's too late for Jonah Lumley, isn't it?
Jonah Lumley was 97 to...
Yeah. Anyway, what game it was I played, and I got the ball and dropped it.
Oh, so you were playing yourself?
I was playing myself.
Yeah.
And I was playing with someone who was they were more familiar with the game, and they were like, no one ever drops it. Apart from you.
Yeah, that was the first one, I think. It was quite similar to Jonah Lumley. It was like FIFA Rugby, 05, 06. It was kind of shite.
Yeah.
I had a scrum cap in it, and I was crap. But I still picked myself all the time.
Yeah, go back yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was a poor enough game. It was never. I don't think it's ever been beaten. Jonah Lumley Rugby was by far the best rugby game of all time.
Yeah,
and it's never been beaten, which is kind of weird because
rugby just doesn't really work in a video game, does it?
Oh.
It's too like we remember Jonah Lumley like nostalgic kind of reasons, but it's never really. FIFA kicked on, Pro Evo kind of I suppose kicked on a little bit, not as much, but it just doesn't really work as well, does it?
No, I don't think
it's too complicated a sport.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah. whereas it was quite simple with John Lomer. So they
Yeah.
just kept it simple. It was,
Yeah.
it was easy. Cool. Thank you very much for all those questions. They were very good. And for the first one that we abused, keep them coming as well, because we need the hard ones as well as the easy ones. You know, we want you to be able to vent to us.
Yeah, because it saves us having to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
We need a pantomime villain. And what's her name?
Pat the Prig. Or
JP.
JP, yeah.
JP's the villain this week.
JP, what could that JP stand for?
That's Jarpian, that is.
Is it? Something evil. Just a prick. Right, thanks everybody for your comments, questions, for listening on all your favorite apps, and for watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe. Please, it makes a huge difference to this household. A big thank you to everyone that was involved in making the show this week. Ian, Paul, Fiona and Pat, of course. This has been Baz and Andrew's House of Rugby on Joe, together with Guinness. Thank you for keeping us company. Party on.
Party on.